Hello, and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including DuckTales, which we'll be talking about today. I'm your host, Bonilla, and today I'm joined as usual by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
And Steve Zeck.
Hey.
We are back to talk DuckTales. It has been a while, but now we are in September 2019, which is seeing a group of 8 episodes to finish off the season. And we are now in the first weekend, so we will be covering the first 4 episodes of that bomb, which is Whatever Happened to Donald Duck, Happy Birthday Doofus Drake, A Nightmare on Killmotor Hill, and The Golden Armory of Cornelius Coot. If you want to catch up on our previous discussions on DuckTales, you can do that at overlyanimated.com, on overlyanimated.com/iTunes. You can find our DuckTales feed there. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/overlyanimated. But wherever you listen to us, we appreciate any ratings and reviews you want to leave us. But yeah, with that in mind, we are going to dive right in. Spoilers for these latest episodes. We'll begin, as usual, with our general impressions. It's been a while since we've gotten to DuckTales, so this will be back into our usual discussion mode here. But anyways, Michelle, how after these 4 episodes for the week, how you feeling about DuckTales lately?
DuckTales is good. DuckTales is a good show. That's obviously not a hot take, but it bears repeating. I can't think of a recent memory of a DuckTales episode that I was even meh on. Though I know first season there were a couple. I was kind of okay, this is fine. But all of these I think are really solid. And I think 2 of them are exceptional. Which we're gonna get into. I'm curious if the ones I think are exceptional are the same ones you guys think are exceptional. Because there could be some wild cards among us. Who knows? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I feel Whatever Happened to Donald Duck was a really good Donald episode. Especially when we get the backstory with his anger management therapist. And he's Donald has learned to channel all of his anger into his parental feelings to protect the nephews. Oh my god, he went off on that alien guy and it was amazing. And I just yes, Donald's moment this season. He's such a good parent. Look at him go. And also he didn't die, but now they think he's just going to be gone for a month, which maybe that's legit. Maybe he's going to have a Donald alone episode now where he's hitchhiking back to the family trying to warn everyone about the alien invasion and no one believes him. I can see that.
Or no one understands him.
No one understands, literally. And the therapist even knows that. So good. So that was a really good episode. I was legit surprised by how good Happy Birthday Doofus Drake was. Doofus Drake is such a scary person, but I think that's why we keep coming back to him. And that episode did not disappoint. The fact that Goldie and Green Shirt teamed up was yes!
You still don't know their names.
I don't have to. That's what the shirt colors are for. But it was so good. It was oh man, so many good gags in that one. I mean, Glam Gold talking and fighting with his fake ventriloquist son was also another highlight.
Now he needs a therapist for sure.
He does.
Maybe because he's
an off-brand version of Boxman to me sometimes. And I appreciate having him around. He's a lot of fun. Nightmare on Killmotor Hill was I feel objectively one of the best episodes. Just oh man, Lena's whole situation is so she's got some inner demons, and I'm glad she's getting to a place where she's not afraid of them anymore. That's a lot of progression for her. So I'm sure we'll talk more about that one. Cornelius Coot was fine. There was corn in it. And a pioneer village, and I don't know, I kind of feel bad for the Beagles, obviously. I feel maybe they were a little disenfranchised, and that's why their family's so, just after money. Maybe they don't have a lot of money, and there's a million of them, and they have this kind of sad backstory with the town, and I don't know, it kind of made me think more about them than I ever have, so there's that. But all in all, they're good episodes.
All right. So pretty positive spin on all 4 of these. So, okay. Steve, how are you feeling about the episodes?
All right. Okay. I'm with Michelle. I kind of loved all these episodes. I did not really a bad one. Probably my two favorites probably had to be Whatever Happened to Donald Duck and Nightmare on Killmotor Hill. Yeah, but but the other two is fine too. I mean, Doofus finally get his comeuppings. I mean,
yes, he did. It's a brother now.
Yeah. And we found out about Donald's anger issues and his anger management. Jones, who is a character in the Carl Barks comics, who was his neighbor, who we often feuded with. And we got 2 episodes. We got mention of Fooey Duck, which
yes, the fourth triplet Fooey. What a great name!
Oh, that was great episode. I don't know which one I like best. Probably the Donald one because I just love Donald, but the Lena one I like too. I was going to have Donald as a special surprise guest here, but him and Daisy are at Jay-Z and Beyonce's house at a party. You know, Daisy and Beyonce are best friends, so...
What? Where's this coming from?
It's a joke. I'm just saying Donald Duck is super famous and has celebrity friends when he's on the show. But you know, I like the surprise that Webby got to bond with Della. I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
And like I said, speaking of power, Lena took her power back from Magica, just like Doofus's parents took back the power from him. So those two sort of
parallels. You're right.
Yeah.
This seems like a stretch, but okay.
The parallels, Alex. Don't you feel it?
No.
And I love the dreams, and I think Wolf Lena is super adorable, so let's see more of that.
That was a take I didn't expect, but okay.
There are many takes I do not expect from Steve. These initial thoughts we go really deep in, but all right. I will say that Whatever Happened to Donald Duck is a really good episode. Killmotor Hill is an amazing episode.
Yeah.
Right? It's very visually creative, and I think we talked briefly about DuckTales on our OKKO finale podcast, which you can listen to on overlyanimated.com, which talked about how rigid sometimes DuckTales feels, especially in comparison to something cartoonier like OKKO. But Killmotor Hill is kind of the brief moment where DuckTales gets to be a lot more visually interesting and creative with its stuff, and so that gives it a totally different feel, and so I think that DuckTales benefits when it goes off the lane like that. So Killmotor Hill was just very interesting to watch, on top of the character stuff that's going on with Lena and Webby and Magica. So all that's great. Doofus Drake is fine.
No, that's my second favorite episode of these 4.
I think it's saved by Glomgold because I really love Glomgold. So his contributions are great, but the Louis Goldie combination, I couldn't really get into it. But
me neither.
We'll talk about what you found great about it, and Cornelius Coot also I never really dug into it. The Webby being obsessed thing, I think even the nephews refer to it as oh, this is how she used to be all the time. So it's kind of feels like a callback to early Webby, and I'm not sure it still works today, but so that felt like a bit more of a run-of-the-mill DuckTales episode, but the Donald Duck one and Killmotor Hill felt like above average for DuckTales, and doing more interesting stuff that I latched onto. Let's begin with... I guess we have to begin with Donald Duck because that's the episode that is connecting to our most recent episodes where last time we saw Donald was shot to the moon. So this is the continuation. What was your guys' favorite part of this? Although we you already referred to it in initial thoughts a little bit, but is there a specific part of this episode that called out to you guys when watching, Michelle?
I remember making a joke last time. It's like, okay, Donald's going to the moon. You guys, with like literally no one can understand him on the moon. And then we got that in the first 5 minutes. It's like, yes, the show knows what they're doing. Oh, it's so good. There's like, I love the person that crouched down, like, what did he say? And then the sketch alien guy's like, oh, he said like death to all people on the moon. They're like, oh, we hate him. I was surprised that, oh god, Penumbra, Penumbra, like she called Della her friend, like she said it like very begrudgingly and kind of awkwardly, but like, is that like for real now? Are they actual friends? Because that's kind of a big deal, right?
It's a big deal that she's admitting it.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I will say that my favorite part is Penumbra in this episode because it definitely feels a long way from how we saw her in previous episodes, and she's now helping out Donald in this episode. I think that it does a really good job of showing how uncomfortable she is with the whole situation, like trying to fit into the structure. There was a good thread put out by Sam King, one of the storyboarders on this episode, and she noted that, like, for example, the General Lunaris always has his hand on Penumbra as like kind of a manipulative power move, and it's something that happens in real life a lot. So like it's just like I think that they do a really good job of like fitting Penumbra into this moral quandary, and so it feels good when she like is able to get Donald alone. It's like, okay, I'm going to help you because like we already see her feeling weird in the first part of the episode, and you know overall they and so then you feel bad when she gets disabled later on by Lunaris. But I think that Penumbra is really strong in this episode, and it helps a lot for the tension provided in the first half of this episode.
My favorite part was Donald defeating all those soldiers in the
by like accident, basically.
Yeah. But that was awesome. That's classic Donald. and no, in this series, Donald is kind of a lot more OP than he normally is. But I just think it was shocked. The big war room was a big shock. That the fact that that this general, what's his name,
Lunaris,
that he sort of he had his plan all along. That he might know Scrooge. He might have some history with Scrooge. Though I think you know what he could be his downfall. He put all the threat levels. And I don't see Mrs. Beakley, and I don't see Webby on that list. So that's going to be his downfall. True. Underestimating them. But yeah. Also, Jonesy is in the show. Jonesy's in the show. I cannot believe such a obscure character in the lore of Disney's Ducks is on the show.
Who is he? Tell us his backstory.
He's Donald's neighbor.
That's backstory, Steve.
But he's a neighbor in the comics. Not
well, to be fair, that would be the backstory of an obscure character.
Well, yeah. Only thing more obscure though is if we get, say, Dottie Duck or
Dottie Duck.
Or that was originally Daisy Duck's niece, or April, May, and June, which was also Daisy Duck's niece's. Or Grandma Duck, Donald Duck's grandma.
Move on. We're not going to go through all Disney Ducks obscure characters.
No, Alex, come on now. Season 10, you're telling me you don't want to see Donald Duck's grandma make a cameo appearance? I want that.
Save them for the Three Caballeros series on Disney Plus. Shove them over there. Anyways, back to DuckTales.
Exactly the same as him, but like slightly more feminine, and I so want to see that.
You mentioned the scene of Donald Duck like beating up all the soldiers. I'll say that part also stood out to me as just being like the show being able to dive really deep into the slapstickiness of focusing on the 4 bunks and him like bouncing between bed to bed and getting the
comic
off.
One.
Yeah. So that was all great, and then like him kind of dance battling everybody once the scorpion's in his shirt. So they have fun with Donald. and
I love Pernilda's reaction to all that. And
she's like, "Oh, maybe you're not as like lame as I thought you were. You can handle this room."
Also, I will say that it's it hit pretty well that Lunaris is like, hey, like everybody focuses on Scrooge. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kill the kids first because that'll break their spirit. I feel that's not a thing we get to see often in shows, like just outright like I'm aiming for the kids first. So good on Lunaris for like being true bad.
I think he might be as evil as Magica.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, definitely his own way. Let's talk about Lunaris for a second, because I feel like he's had a lot of time in his hands. He's been able to creep on the whole world, and he's determined that Scrooge is the most likely person to stop him. So that's why he wants to focus on the Duck family. Why does he want to conquer the Earth so bad, though? We have no indication that Earthers have done anything to Mooners.
They mentioned that before. He's talking to Penumbra last time. He said something to do with his father. His father was scared of the Earth, and I think he wants to prove something. I guess he might have daddy issues. So.
Or just xenophobia issues. Yeah. That checks out.
There's also a line in here where I think Donald Duck says something about the Earth being a planet, and it's like, the moon will be a planet when we get rid of you or something.
Right. So he's insecure about the status of his moon, I guess.
Oh, now we gotta look. Now we have to look out for Pluto invading, because they have the same sort of issues.
For a minute, I just pictured Pluto the dog. I'm like, Steve, how is he going to get there? He's just one dog.
Did Pluto the dog come from Pluto the small dwarf?
That would explain so much, though, because again, everyone brings this up, but if Goofy can wear clothes and own a house and a mortgage,
okay, since you're making
but so if Pluto's literally from Pluto, maybe that's why he's a regular dog.
Since you mentioned Goofy, let me just say what I think could happen. And I think along the way, Donald is going to get help getting back to Duckburg from Goofy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, his ship, landed on Earth somewhere. It probably far away. He has to hitchhike probably to get to Scrooge, so...
Was Goofy ever in the original DuckTales, Steve?
No.
Well, I don't know then.
He's going to be in season 3. They did this big poster of these new characters that's coming, so...
Oh, really? Well, then, who knows?
Oh, you want me to put that in the chat?
No, you don't need to put that in the chat. But I mean, if you want to, you can, I guess.
Okay. We should talk and see if I can find a link to it.
So... while all this is happening, there's also the B plot going on of Dewey and Webby doing this whole noir-ish detective-y stuff, and they're hunting down Donald Duck. Were you guys into this part of the episode?
I usually have no time or brain power for noir, but this time I did, and I actually thought it was pretty fun. Because, obviously we knew it wasn't going to lead anywhere substantial, and I don't know, I always like seeing Blue Shirt and Webby together. They have, a special investigating, adventure spirit kind of bond, and I like whenever that comes back, because, even though Della is what kind of brought them together as a team, they're still managing to do other adventures after the fact, and I think that's nice because I like seeing them together.
I have thoughts on that, on Webby and Dewey that we'll get to. It's more to do with the Nightmare Killmotor Hill, but we'll get to that. Let's talk about that. But okay. I do have a good tandem. I do all those puns Dewey made. I mean, Dewey was on fire this week with all his his humor in these episodes.
Yeah.
Okay. I will just personally say I did not have time for this noir stuff. I was very annoyed by it. I was happy that they tied it in at the end with the anger management consultant talking about Donald's psyche as we see Donald fighting Lunaris. I think that's a very excellent way to tie in stuff and give us background info. So that part was great, but I don't think it paid off us spending so much time just watching the kids wander around. But that's just me. I'm sure the other people had fun with it, but Jones is cool. Jones has deep thoughts about Donald's problems.
Did he have a Russian accent?
I don't think so. I think it was just an old gruff man accent. If that counts as an accent, I think it's more of a tone.
Well, Gruff Man's definitely an accent now.
It's good that Donald's actually seeing a therapist, and it's not really commented on as a bad thing. It's just like a normal thing.
Maybe they could give Glongoat his number.
Yeah, but many characters could use an anger management consultant in this universe. Although I will say also, Dewey says like, well, then why is he still angry all the time if he goes to you? Which, I guess is true in that we kind of see Donald angry a lot, but also people around him make very stressful situations all the time, so I don't blame him.
Poor Donald.
Yeah. I also want to note at the end where Donald shoots himself out of the cannon, there's a cool animation going on of him like getting pressed back into the seat, and it goes into like a 2001: A Space Odyssey style, like the colors going past him in like a little aisle there. So like they also had fun with the animation there as well, and I enjoyed that. So like seeing rainbows in his eyes.
The Space Odyssey thing totally killed me. I was like, oh my god, why is this happening? But also, I'm kind of glad this is happening, because it's like the most kid-friendly version they could have done. And it somehow weirdly works with the character like Donald. Like, I don't know how, but it checks out.
Yeah, because Donald is going through time and space.
Donald's gonna. I do think Donald's gonna get the most credit for saving the world in the finale, and he's gonna become a big celebrity next season.
I don't know. I think that could happen, Steve. But I kind of like that Donald is always like humbly just Donald. That's part of the appeal of him.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So
but
I wouldn't want him to lose that. What if he gets cocky? That'd be a little sad.
Well, and by the way, I got the picture, season 3 picture right here on the chat. Goofy's there.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, should I make it now or at the end? My prediction for the finale.
We can say predictions at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
Ooh, there's gonna be a Triceratops next season. That's exciting. That's the best dinosaur.
Well, no, that's coming this week.
The dinosaur is?
Next episode.
All right. Well, look, this poster really took us nowhere. So,
nowhere good. That's true.
Yeah, look, Donald is going to be an astronaut, but he's going to reject the fame and be like, "Hey, I was going to go on a vacation. Now I'm going to take my vacation, please." And he'll go on vacation because he deserves it, because he's a good duck. Let's hear. And any other thoughts on this episode?
Ooh, wait a minute. Somebody wants to talk. What, Donald?
Oh no.
Okay. Donald says he loved the episode. He's glad you guys liked it too. Well, he's got to go back to Jay-Z's party. So
why do you have the clip on his beak, Steve? Like, let him talk normally. Like, why did you clip him?
No, he talked. That you guys can't understand him. That's your problem.
No, I'm pretty sure that you have that potato chip bag clip on his beak.
If all of us decided to do like a 48-hour no sleep podcast, this is the kind of place I think we would get to. I'm astounded we got here in only half an hour.
Such is fate. Speaking of being awake for 48 hours, A Nightmare on Killmotor Hill is...
You're not going to do the Doofus Drake one?
No, we'll get to that later.
Okay, I thought you want to do them in order.
Nah, who cares about order? And plus, I think that Killmotor Hill is interesting to talk about because this is a Lena episode.
Yay!
And Lena, we haven't seen her in a while.
Probably my second favorite character on the show. Behind Donald, of course, but...
Oh, wow.
So Webby's your third favorite? Isn't that kind of low, Steve?
Well, Webby's a regular, so it's sort of like... I'm talking about the... less is more sometimes.
I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Lena has been less for a bit, but this episode she was more. She's been struggling with nightmares, and so she's trying to force herself to stay awake. So this is her equivalent of a no sleep podcast. It's her like trying to force a sleepover to 4 a.m. Have you guys ever stayed up to 4 a.m.?
all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Really?
Like on the weekend, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I especially if I watch like a great little like a great show or something, I'm really pumped and excited, and I'm just like stay up all night, just so too excited to sleep.
Okay. I'm a baby and I can't stay up past like 2 a.m., but
That means your body respects you. That makes you older than all of us, really.
yeah, I'm obviously the old man with a cane around here.
But I just realized though the title is sort of a play on A Nightmare on Elm Street. Very gutsy for Disney to mention a horror movie on their show.
Well, there are many horror tropes touched upon in this episode. Like you got them falling through like dream holes, and there's creepy people dressed in costumes.
Well, the biggest creep thing was Dewey's dream, which it's so creepy.
Okay, so
high school, because nothing more scarier than High School Musical. That's the
I loved it. It was so blue shirt. That whole place was so him. Like when he said, like, I have the balls on tap.
I'm joking. I'm just trying to make fun of High School Musical. So
it's aware. Disney is aware of its own branding.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of the nightmares, something that I do really want to bring up though. Huey, Red Shirt's dream is to have really long legs, and Dewey in particular is very creeped out by this. I find this to be very aspirational of a dream, and I'm not creeped out by it at all. But what about you guys? How do you guys feel about a dream of someone having really, really long legs?
Ooh, I'm not sure. It reminds me of Inspector Gadget, so
you're not intimidated by it, Steve, right?
No. I did find very kind of revealing in this episode. We kind of see that Huey and Violet, they got a lot of things in common.
What? That's where you decided to take this? Come on.
Enough of the long legs. Let's get to the real meat.
Well, no, but that's a very popular sip on the Tumblr, so I'm sure some people are very, very happy. Yes.
Did they even talk to each other once in this episode?
I don't think they do, Alex. I don't think they do.
Michelle, do you like long legs?
I mean, generally, long legs are fine. You can get places faster, but for Red Shirt, I mean, I don't know. It was a little because it's just his legs. Everything else is still normal proportion, and I can kind of see where the rest of his family's coming from. Like that's a little uncomfortable. Well, but then when his arms get all spaghetti long, I'm like, okay, well now it's balancing out a little more. Like maybe it's all right.
Oh, I love his reaction at the end, like how he knows it's not a dream anymore. His legs are back to normal. Like,
poor guy. I like he's just like, I'm not creative about imagining things, so that's all he thought of for his dream.
Well, look, you gotta start somewhere, and he started it with his own body, so that's good.
I loved Louis' dream though. Green Shirt's dream. Is Garfield pretty much Garfield parody?
Yeah. His ultimate dream is just to be a cat. Michelle, your thoughts on this fantasy?
We have talked about cats before, so how to get a bad rap.
Being a fat cat's like being like a wealthy dude, right? So in that sense, like he is literally cat, but also he's like pretty well off. Being a fat cat where people feed you get to knock hands off the couch arm, I think that's a pretty great life. I mean, he doesn't have to do anything. He's just happy, and it's green, and green's the best color. No, I think this is definitely the best dream sequence, if you look at it that way.
Is that the kind of cat that you would want to be, or what kind of cat would you prefer to be?
Oh, spotted one, but also like those Norwegian forest cats with the huge floof tails that they used to cover their face in like a snowstorm in the winter. I want that, but with spots and like at least 3 colors. So a calico Norwegian forest cat with a floof tail. That's what I want.
Wow. That's beautiful.
What kind of cats do you guys want to be?
I would like to be a striped cat.
Oh, a striped cat, yeah. What colors?
White with black stripes. Zebra cat?
A zebra cat. Yeah, I like that. That sounds cool.
I think I want to be like a chocolate-colored cat, so like like brown-ish. I do want to be floofy, but probably not as big as Green Shirt Cat. Like I do want to like be able to move around without having to jiggle too much.
Relatively
have the
sized
agility
brown
to jump
creature.
from place to place,
Well, that checks out, yeah.
Yeah, but cat being a cat is it's a dream that we should all have at least once in our lives. Just live a little.
Very relatable, yeah.
Expand your horizons.
And I'm glad this episode it was not anti-cat. I've seen too much of this anti-cat propaganda in animation. So
yeah,
and no, so this show probably the other way around. A lot of the villains here, like the Beagles, are dogs. So
Yeah, this is like
they
one
are
of the
dogs!
few anti-dog universes is DuckTales.
Well, until Goofy shows up.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the main story of this episode, which is Lena and her struggles to leave behind her past of being attached to Magica, and she's dealing with all these nightmares. And it's portrayed slowly over the course of the episode with more vivid versions of Magica popping up in the random nightmares, and she's slowly losing hold on reality until it gets to the point where she gets sucked down a dream hole to Magica's castle. How did you, Michelle? How did you feel about how this episode handled Lena's continuing Lena's story of her struggles with leaving behind her past?
I thought it was really well done, especially just the fact that it came up so often. Like, there's so many times where she either had a transformation or is trying to hide, like, her hair changing color or her growing, like, the evil, sketchy wings or turning into a dog, like, so many times. So I feel like it was definitely, like, a really prominent part of the episode that they wanted to, like, have you keep remembering the whole time. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I wish, like, I need to go back to the first season, but, like, so, Magica had this whole conversation at the end of the episode where she was saying, like, you literally came from me, so you are me. Mm. And I feel like, even, like, not on a literal level, like, that's, like, definitely a thing, like, abusers, like, say, though, like, to their family, right? It's like, we're from the same family, we have the same genes, like, you're gonna turn out like me no matter what because we're like linked. And the fact that like the episode takes so much time to have like Webby tell her that like, no, you're your own person. You've already made decisions that clearly separate you from like this history. With Magica, you can change and be your own person. Like it's very, it's like a legit thing that's important for people who've gone through abusive stuff to hear. And I feel like it was really well handled. Like, I feel like it was such a smart choice to put them in a dreamscape, because then you can just like visually highlight all of those like fears and concerns on a much grander scale. And I feel like that's something that this episode in particular did really well and handled really well. So I thought they did an excellent job with that. Like, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely had a message here about abusive relationships, and at the end, like Magica wanted you to think she had all the power, but when really Lena had all the power. The abusee turned the things around. Now the abusee has the power here and is able to walk away. And I'm shocked at the fact that they just leave Magica there. They don't like tell Scrooge like to call the police or something because, given the trouble she's caused, she ought to be arrested, Well,
I guess like she's basically powerless now though, right? Yeah. So it's like she's not even worth getting Scrooge for because like what can she do?
Yeah. Though I do kind of wonder though how she got that device. I mean, did she steal it from Gyro, like perhaps? Because like Louis said though, like. Magic is your whole thing. You're not really a tech person, so...
That's true.
And it continues from the finale of the last season where, like, Magica is reduced to, like, this very pathetic creature just kind of crawling away, defeated. So, like, at the end of this episode as well, like, we get into that. And I think that the parallel to an abusive relationship is very apt because also, I do think that the first season, like, kind of uses that as well with Lena and Magica being Lena's shadow, and at times like Magica overtakes Lena's body, and like she loses control. So like I think like you could fit that in to the Lena Magica dynamic throughout the first season as well, if we go back to those episodes.
And also, quick though, speaking of which, is in the season finale, like we had Magica take over Lena's body. It's great to see these two voice actresses now. They got to play each other's characters. Like in this episode, Kathleen Tate got to play Lena for a bit, for like a scene. One line, or at least, just like Keoma Glenn got to play Magica last season, so kind of interesting.
There's that moment where where Magica takes where Magica makes Lena turn into the Magica body, and Lena has to hear from Webby, "You're a monster," and like that kind of like throws her off, and I felt that pretty hard.
Speaking of which,
that was a very good moment, but I'm also glad that it didn't last too long, and like eventually like it makes itself clear that Webby knows who this is. So I'm glad it didn't stretch out for too long.
I was worried about that too. I'm like, are they all gonna like try to beat her up? That's gonna be so sad, and I kind of don't want to see that. And I'm glad it didn't happen.
And as you know from season finale, Webby hates Magica, and I kind of wonder, Lena kind of knows that. Maybe that leads to some of her insecurities and fears, because if she felt that she sort of connected to Magica, then maybe she feels Webby in the end will reject her, because Webby's a person who never hates anybody, but what we saw in the season finale, that's just really like a new point of her character, as we saw in that episode.
Well, and I enjoy the beginning of this episode. It deals with Lena kind of feeling awkward about like being a good person. Like she's not used to being on this side of things, and it's like it comes off as very, very strange. She's like, yeah, 1 year anniversary, I got like a whole song and bracelets, and everybody's just like, what is this? And she's like very honest. It's like, look, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be around social situations.
Okay.
So, like, I related to that pretty hard, and it's a good representation of like Lena is struggling to become her own person as opposed to thinking of herself in relation to Magica, and this episode does a good job in exploring that and in showing that she has a support system, especially in Webby, that is able to reaffirm her in terms of you are your own individual, and that's like a very powerful message to have.
Yeah. It's indeed. Am I the only one though who thinks though there's sort of similarities between the three girls and the triplets?
I believe you mentioned this last time. We didn't really get anywhere with that. But
I said Webby and Dewey are sort of similar, but I think definitely Huey and Violet are similar. And in a way, when I think about it, Lena and Louie are not that much different. They're sort of the more sassy ones of their groups. And they are also sometimes might do morally questionable things. Most likely do more questionable things of their group. So interesting parallels there.
I'll say that the connection between Violet and Huey is that Huey usually gets to do the least stuff in the nephew episodes, and Violet doesn't really have anything to do in this episode.
Oh my god, there you go then.
Yeah, that's their connection. I mean, Violet is the one who like points out like, oh, okay, your bad dreams must be a sign that your magical aura is messing stuff up, because like she's now a magic expert. But like after that, I don't really think she has much of a contribution. She's just kind of there.
It wasn't her episode. So,
yeah.
So interesting though. I can't wait to meet her parents. So, as you know, she has two dads. So,
okay. Let's hear other random notes from this. During Dewey's dream, something I took down. Like, there's a moment where he's like, "Here's my romantic interest, but I'm too threatened by it to take shape."
And Dewey's dream.
Yeah, Dewey, right. Like,
just do the colors. It's easier.
No, I will. I'm fine with you using the colors, but I will try to make the effort of using their names because they're individuals who deserve it.
And people get on me for not to be good with names, and at least I'm trying.
Wow, Steve.
Wow,
Real flats there. I just want to point out that I think that romantic interest is like using both a male and female voice.
That too. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's a very good detail. Like, literally, like, he doesn't know what his romantic orientation is yet, so it's like, it can be anything. So that's a pretty cool detail to throw in there. There's also the moment where, to go into Huey's dream, he pulls them into the litter box of Louis. It's just, everybody is visibly disgusted, but we see people going through a litter box to a dream, so that is an image that exists. I'm sure that's a GIF somewhere. There's a moment where Dewey is just like, I dreamed you a montage, and then we just go through, like, dream montage, and Lena slowly losing her mind. This is the appearance of Fooey Duck. He has a beanie. He's yellow shirt.
Yellow shirt.
Yeah. So rip. I guess
you guys want to know. You guys want to know who Fooey Duck is?
Is he real?
No, he's just an animation error or comic book error. Like sometimes in the comics, they accidentally draw 4 triplets when it's supposed to be 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just, and they're too lazy to fix it, or they don't have time to fix it. So
okay.
That's who Fooey Duck is. The character I most want to see though is what's this guy? The character I most want to see is Dudley Duck, Donald Duck's son. Donald Duck has a son in one cartoon. Well, yeah, in an old cartoon, how to have an accident at work. He does have a son, so that'd be cool. To maybe just imaginary, at least maybe a dream sequence.
He can be friends with Fooey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else from this episode that you guys want to bring up?
I'm happy for Lena. And I didn't realize how much I love her highlights. It's just such an awesome design. You keep changing forms. It's cool. And you know what? Who says bat scales are evil? I mean, that's just a bad stereotype. I mean, that can be cool. I mean,
I agree with you, Steve. Like that. Why are we as a society so afraid of bats?
Ever heard of Batman? He's a good guy. So.
Yeah,
but he's supposed to be intimidating. That's why he's a bat.
But intimidating isn't necessarily bad. It's just good people.
Well, he's not Giraffe Man for a reason. I'm just saying.
Rat Man. But bat wings should not be considered inherently evil. I agree. But so let's go over to Happy Birthday Doofus Drake.
Yeah.
So Michelle's excited.
Yeah, Michelle, you are really excited for this episode. So tell me what part of this is there a specific part of this that speaks to you?
No, the whole thing. The whole thing's just really good. I love the concept of Goldie teaming up with Green Shirt, but then also that's she doesn't take him seriously at first because she doesn't let people get close. And the fact that they go to this party and Doofus is so sketchy. He comes out of the clamshell and oh my god. And then everyone wants the goodie bags full of literal precious gold heirlooms from the family that Doofus is just giving away. And they slowly get rid of the competition, and Gold's amazing with his fake son, and then the robot child is amazing. It's just all these jokes are just really, really good, guys.
I just don't know why Gold and Beaks are there. They're rich guys. They're
never satisfied, exactly.
Well, Gold maybe I can understand a little bit because he's in the middle of this bet, so he needs as much money as possible. He's got to win this bet, so... But Doofus though getting what he deserves.
Well, okay. Yeah, that was really satisfying.
But the one thing that really bummed me out though is the fact that the Huey Della bonding episode is a B plot. Well, Dewey and Della got to have a whole A plot. Well, Huey just related to a B plot. That's just so unfair.
Well, I mean, they were in a video game, though. There wasn't a lot you could do, but I do love their red shirt. It was, very much I want to harvest the crops in the video game, and I have, 1,000,000 XP, but I'm never going to cash it in, because what if I die on my way to the checkpoint?
Mm-hmm. And it seems that off screen that Della and Launchpad at least became somewhat friends. At the very least, they have names for each other. So what happened? Last time they saw each other, they weren't really. Della really wanted nothing to do with him, and then next thing you know, she called him LP. It's like,
well, look, it's a video game. You're like supporting each other because you.
Well, I'm talking about the other
goal.
episode.
Uh-oh.
I'm talking about the corn episode.
Yeah, you gotta level up together. So in here, they're fine. So as long as they're in the virtual world.
Yeah.
Goldie is a character that I don't want to say frustrates me, but it's just a character
I'm with you,
that,
Alex.
well, it's a character that I just for some reason just can't attach myself to, and maybe that's on purpose. Because she herself doesn't attach herself to anybody.
Well,
just
for me, with Goldie is.
She's like super manipulative, but we get like that thing at the end where it's like, oh well, maybe she does have some fondness for Louis after all. But
we do that all the time with her. I get a little bored. Can we develop her character or move on? Just saying.
Shots fired, Steve.
It's kind of her thing. Yeah, with Scrooge too. Like that's always a thing, right? Like Scrooge treats her like a thief all the time. We got in the middle was like them sort of flirting, but then at the end, Goldie gets away, and that's just kind of the dynamic that exists, and now it will exist with Louis as well. So I get that that's a character that's a trait, but yeah, it does feel a bit hollow after like the fourth time seeing.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I'm just saying it sort of gets old. It gets old. I'm just saying. Yeah. Even if it's a new victim, even though maybe a victim and maybe deserves a little bit, but
I don't know. Michelle, do you have any Goldie thoughts, or do you want to support her at all?
I like Goldie. I mean, she's doing her own thing. And I think Scrooge has her pegged pretty well. In order to just always have the upper hand and always be one step ahead, she can't have any attachments to people because that leads to emotional conflict and all those dumb, messy feelings that get in the way of her goal. But like the fact that she keeps his photo in her wallet along with Scrooge at the end, it's like, he made the special Goldie Club. She does actually care about him, but like again, she's not gonna like seek him out to hang out with, but she might team up with them again in the future.
Well, will she help save the world from the moon invasion? I mean,
maybe. Yeah, she could. Yes, no, she actually would. She wants to capture them so she can go to the moon, take all the gold. Absolutely.
Now, she's definitely somebody.
Yeah. She always has an angle, but she's not evil. She's just in it for herself.
Oh man, is that also like how
she should be on Lunaris's list too as a threat, at least financial threat.
They underestimate a lot of people who aren't Scrooge.
It just clicked with me that like, is that the way that we're gonna get like also the villains to like help out with this? It's like, hey guys, there's gold on the moon. It's like, and Globgold's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna help.
And oh my god, that was great. That's also gonna confirm why the Mooners should be afraid though, because they have a valuable resource. And if anyone on Earth found out about the gold, they would absolutely come to harvest the moon. So that kind of sucks for them.
Yeah, they underestimate our planet's biggest power, which is greed.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least on this show is full of like 1%ers, so
yeah, well, lots of upper crusters in this show. In this episode, there is Doofus, who's very extra. We got a Glomgold, who's got like a ventriloquist son, who's like super hip. I think he's got like an 80s style shirt and a skateboard hat on him. Mark Beak's kid is a droid, and it malfunctions when we ask it deep questions like, "When were you born?" Any favorites of these bad guys in this episode?
Ooh, it's hard to choose. Probably Glomgold because he's the funniest. Like I said, the guy needs therapy, man. He really needs therapy. Because I don't know, man. He's like, it's a cry for help. His actions in this episode. I mean, he could have just hired, like, he could have done what the others did. He could have like hired maybe a child actor or something, but no, he went down this route, man.
Glomgold's one step ahead. That's why, Steve.
Yeah, look, the ventriloquist thing got him to the second round. Like, he wasn't eliminated immediately, so points to him, I guess.
Yeah.
I think Glomgold's fake son is actually my favorite side character of the episode.
Nice.
Followed by Robot Boy. Robot Boy's pretty great too.
Yeah, while he was malfunctioning, he's like, "No, wait, I'm a real boy." You know, it's like fighting for his humanity, but he was unsuccessful, and he got hacked into a kill droid later on in the episode. Yeah. And then he became his brother.
Back at the end, though, right? Yeah, like I feel like he won somehow.
And he came actually had a villain that becomes a good guy. I mean, he was sort of a villain at the beginning of the episode, and then now he's a good boy, a good guy. So
a good boy.
But yeah, the person I'm most happy about is finally Doofus's parents finally got some power back, and I kind of think perhaps the reason Goldie kind of got away in the end is because Louis wasn't paying attention, because Louis has a personal investment with Doofus. He has a personal grudge against him, or at least doesn't like him and stuff. And Goldie has no attachments at all. So
that's true.
In the end, that's what got him in the end. But but I love how in the middle of the episode, Louis then she saved me. But that's got to be part of an angle,
Yeah, that's how it always feels with Goldie. Although that moment of her stepping in front of Louis as a piñata was pretty strong. Also, I just want to comment on Goldie dressing as a mom is so good uniform choices, I guess. Nice sneakers.
When they punk Glomgold and he's like, "Oh hey, can I talk to your son alone?" So he goes underwater and the dummy's just like, rah, rah, rah. He's like, "Hey, I think my mom has a crush on your dad." This is such a brilliant teamwork thing. I honestly think they make a great team, and they have a lot of good moments like that.
I think when Glomgold's underwater, because I think he still might be easier to understand than Donald.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. But yeah, the two con artists in the show are made for each other. What a surprise, you know?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. But anyways, just wrapping up here with the Golden Army of Cornelius Coot. The main thought that I have, why is every animated show obsessed with corn? Why is corn in every show?
Because corn's everywhere in the country, Alex.
Is it though?
We have a corn surplus. Yeah, it's in plastic. It's everywhere.
But in OKKO, corn is literally God, and Star vs. the Force of Evil, it's the only source of nutrition. And
embrace the corn.
Why? Why should I? I reject the corn.
No questions. Just take the corn, Alex. Come on, it's coming for you one way or another.
The corn people are coming. Eventually, to become our overlords. Accept it.
I hate the corn people.
It, Alex.
The corn people are dumb.
You know what threw me off a bit? I kind of thought from him here we were going with Webby, was Webby jealous of Della type of thing. I thought that we were going for.
I honestly got that at the beginning too, where it was like Webby is like, then I'll finally be able to surpass Della. So it's like it kind of feels like a jealous angle, although it later tilts to I just want to live up to her reputation, which is not quite the same thing. But Webby's always been an adventurer, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah,
she wants to...
That would have been interesting though if she felt left out, maybe.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of harkens back to season 1, where I think there were episodes as well where Webby tries to live up to Scrooge's reputation as an adventurer, and that's kind of her deal for the first couple of episodes there. So it does feel like a back to vintage Webby, which your mileage may vary on how you feel about hyperactive, obsessed Webby.
Also that's how she met Lena, because she felt left out, and like I said, that's always going to sort of be part of her character, because she's not a blood relative, and I'm saying, as much as we say she's part of the family, that's great and all, and I believe that, but that's why she and Launchpad sort of have this connection too. They're sort of the part of the family, but they're not blood relatives, and that's always going to be the case.
It's true.
They both sort of want to be and that's great, and they sort of are, but you get the point, right?
Speaking of Launchpad, Michelle, what were your feelings towards how Launchpad was treated in this episode?
I mean, Launchpad's a great character, but incompetent, and sometimes that gets in the way of things. So
Yeah.
he has the heart of gold, though. I'll
Yeah.
give him that. And so many people find him so attractive and want to be his boo. And like he always has that, you know.
How I mentioned a few podcasts back how I think Beaks is like a more competent person when Gizmo Duck's involved around. I think Launchpad the same way with Darkwing Duck. When Darkwing Duck is sort of in the equation, he's much more smarter and competent. Like he knows what he's doing.
So it's all about juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like deep down in his heart, he wants to be a pilot, no matter if he's bad at it.
No matter if he like puts things together with literal gum.
Yeah, but like that's his heart's desire, and so he'll work at it. Della being frustrated throughout the episode, though, is something that we all expected to happen
Relatable.
at some point. And
she is Scrooge's niece, so. She gets that from Scrooge, getting frustrated with Launchpad.
Yeah. But Launchpad is a treasure, and he needs to be protected. And good for him that he ends up saving the day somehow. So.
Only his point though is when he was like having those lessons with Della, he didn't never once says, "What does Dewey think of me? How's Dewey doing? Or what is he still my best friend?" Blue shirt.
So do you call that
shirt.
character development? That he's
I guess so.
That now he's just focused on the lessons. Sure.
Yeah, he's not clinging to Blue shirt anymore, or Dewey.
Notably, this plane has a muscle hamster by the name of Nibbles that gives it a turbo boost.
That's stuck in my brain. I don't know about you guys, but the gerbil's ripped.
Wait, is it a gerbil or a hamster?
Actually, maybe it's a hamster. I really don't know what I think gerbils look like a little more like mice or something, and hamsters are a little more out there. But like, where does that leave guinea pigs? Like, what are they?
And like I said, when you see, and I see animals like that in this type of anthropomorphic animal world, it still just blows my mind.
Right, because like we're gonna have the chipmunks at some point that talk, right? And they're like similar size to hamsters. But what if Nibbles can talk? Well, what if Nibbles, just like in the future episode, is just like, "Hey, Launchpad, why are you using me for your boosting?"
I can see Launchpad just somehow be able to understand animal talk. Or at least maybe just be so get clucked in the head or something. Just think he's hearing animals talk, because Launchpad is that type of cat.
That would be great. Yeah. Of the main plot of like them going through the mine carts, the mine tunnels to find this treasure, are any of you guys afraid of spiders? Is that a thing we have here represented in the podcast?
I'm not sure I'm afraid of spiders, but I do get freaked out if I accidentally just bump into a spider web.
I'm not afraid of big spiders, but I'm afraid of small spiders.
Yeah.
Interesting. Why?
Because big ones are like fuzzier. Like tarantulas are real fuzzy and they're really light. Like you think their butt's really heavy, but they're not. They're super light and chill, and they look kind of cute. The way like bumblebees are kind of cute, you know?
Okay,
but the small ones are just like really small, and that's creepy. So.
Oh, Michelle, have you ever read a book called Charlotte's Web?
Yes.
I like how you say that as if like some obscure story. It's like, have you read this book called Charlotte's Web? You ever heard about it?
We read it in, I think, 3rd or 4th grade.
Yeah, that's the only time I see a spider being a protagonist, and maybe, like what they do, they kill off other bugs because they realize that if we don't kill the bugs, it would be bad for the world.
Exactly.
Yeah. Shout out to Spider with a Top Hat from Star Versus. That was a protagonist spider. But
awesome spider.
But here, I think that if you have a spider phobia, this episode might be a bit tough to get through because there are many, many spiders in many places on faces. Well, so
I'm not sure if the Beagles had spider phobia, but by the end of the episode, they do.
Yeah. Arachnophobia, that's the word. I was thinking what spider phobia doesn't sound right. Arachnophobia, that's what it is. But anything else that stood out from this episode? At the beginning of the episode, it's being
The
set
tour
up by
guide?
this whole thing of them going to an old city. I did not get this field trip experience. Although I heard from people who did, and that seems to be the general experience. It's like really,
Pioneer Village.
Yeah.
yeah.
It is like that, Alex. They'll be like, churn this butter, try to make cotton into yarn with these weird metal fork things.
Oh.
Just think about how depressing it was to be a pioneer, but we're trying to make it cool for you.
I think I went on a field trip like that in first grade.
Yeah, usually it's for young kids, like first grade.
And but the highlight though for me was the tour guide, who I think the librarian in the past episode, playing all these characters. It just, and the fact though when the Beagles try to take her hostage, she beat them. She defeated them. Like,
yeah, she's pretty cool, whoever she is.
Yeah, I think she's the librarian, and the librarian showed spunk from like the last episode I remember her in. So good for her that she's shoving them off.
Speaking of good, it just seems like all the theme of these episodes are people finally taking some power back, and this episode, big time, at least stood up for himself. I mean, good for him.
Sure. Although, like, at the end, he gets back with the gang, so does it really matter?
Yeah.
But, sure, good.
Just for a moment, just for a little moment, but, he's a villain, so they're not allowed to have, like permanent character development, so.
Yeah. So, with that, let's, just any final thoughts you guys want to get off about these episodes, or predictions for next week, which I guess is the finale of this season on Michelle.
Wait, is it really?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Well, I guess I should...
Let me go last.
Yeah, sure. But I'll just read it off. The 4 episodes coming next week are Time Foon, Glom Tales, that should be good. The Richest Duck in the World, that will also probably be good because that sounds Glom Goldie too. And Moonvasion, which is expected to be the finale of the season. Okay, well, Michelle, any thoughts on the future or on these episodes that we just talked about?
I'm really enjoying this season. I feel like it's been really strong overall. I really want to see Penumbra find Della again and maybe live on Earth, and I don't know what they would do together, but something magical, obviously.
Oh, are you shipping them?
No, I don't know if I'm shipping them. I mean, Della's just got back. I feel like she's trying to just focus on her family right now, but maybe in a little bit she can open up the possibility of dating.
Well, let's start as permanent roommates and see how that goes,
Yeah, exactly. They can share a room in Scrooge's giant house together and see how that goes. I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for Moon Invasion, but I also I don't know where we're gonna go from there because we've already been to space this season. How much bigger can the show get? But I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
All right. So, Steve, final thoughts on these episodes, and I guess your prediction for the next week.
Okay. I loved all these episodes. I mean, can't get enough Donald. I'm so glad those certain people are taking their power back. Lena finally maybe getting past her issues, her trauma, and good for Doofus's parents. Finally, they have a little power back. They have a good son now. Yeah, and Webby's a treasure, though. I mean, in that Corn episode, how can you not love Webby? Anyway, my prediction for next week's episode, at the end of Shadow Wars, how Della was the Stinger. At the very end. I think in season 2, the Stinger. We have also a new Stinger character. I think it's going to be Daisy.
Why?
It's just sort of connection there. First season, Della. Season 2, Daisy. It's just sort of a thing with the important female characters to the Duck family, and start with D. Yes. Yep. And I think she's a really important enough character from the comics that it would be a big deal to actually see her reveal. I mean, I think Doofus, we might see him in the actual episode. He might be a masked man helping Donald get across country, and then when they get there, he's take off his hood or something. And it's Goofy,
Why would he like lie to him the whole journey back though with their friends?
Oh no, I'm talking about him just. No, I'm talking about for the viewers. We can't see him. Like Donald would know it's him. But,
oh, okay.
This is very elaborate, but okay.
Well, like we could tell from the second he talked that he was.
They'll give him a voice modulator.
Oh my god, no! I'd love.
I'm kind of wondering though if we're gonna. I wonder if we're going to see. I wonder if we're going to see Pete in the future when he's going to be in the show.
Yeah. So we will be back next week to talk about the last 4 episodes. If you've enjoyed this discussion, you can always go to overtheanimated.com to find out more about us. You can join us on Discord to chat with us about animation at overtheanimated.com/Discord. You can support us financially via Patreon at patreon.com/overtheanimated. Thanks to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Carter, aka Cardboard. Thanks to our Patreon executive producers, Ryan, Steve, Beatrice, Hugh, Michael, and Needle. Besides DuckTales, as previously mentioned, you can catch our discussion on the OKKO series finale, which we put out yesterday. Yeah. We are also covering shows such as Miraculous Ladybug. We've got the Steven Universe movie coverage. We've got Fruit Baskets going on, Final Space, so a lot of different shows going on. But we will definitely be back next week for DuckTales, the season finale. Until then, we will talk to you later.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Okay. Bye. Bye.